Well, back to school season is here, and for some it came quicker than others. Thousands of students will head back to the class this week, and if that comes as a surprise, our Shelley Garzone has the details about why more schools are starting much earlier.
That gives us the opportunity to kind of close that gap of summer loss because it hasn't been too long since kids were out for school.
Tony Hemingway is the superintendent for Fairfield County School District, one of the 71 school districts in the state that are set to begin school before the third week of August.
When you start later, what tends to happen is when it comes to those exams that take place at the end of the semester, you have all this instructional time and all these, lessons that happen in December. You go on Christmas break for 2 weeks, then come back and you have exams. So that's just a lot of time that provides a gap where you could have information forgotten. You can have concepts that have not been thoroughly covered that you may need to revisit when kids return before taking that exam.
According to South Carolina law, the first day of school should be no earlier than the third Monday in August, which is August 19th this year. But districts can go back earlier by adopting what's known as a year-round modified school calendar. This does not mean they're in school year-round, but allows districts more flexibility in the schedule. These districts are still required to provide the mandatory 180 days of instruction as required by law.
What we're trying to impact is just making sure that our students are prepared and focus on positive outcomes for them. And if we have that time where we can get these skills in, get the lessons and the standards taught.
The number of schools participating in this modified schedule has increased. Last year, roughly 60 school districts in the state started before the third Monday in August, and the year before it was only about 20.
We have seen an increase, especially this year, is districts around the state, popping off different weeks, different times, starting as early as mid-July.
Sherry East is the president of the South Carolina Education Association. She says these new calendars can cause new students to play catch-up.
One of the issues that could be a problem is the transient community. If you've moved from a district that starts the normal third week of August, then you've missed a month of school.
Only 2 school districts, Horry and Jasper, will not be starting school before the third week of August this year. East says the lack of tourism dollars might be the reason.
We were hearing from the high tourism counties that it was an issue for them to start school so early. They didn't have workers. The students, the high school students and teachers that were workers during the off season of teaching, they didn't have any help. Like, they didn't have anybody to work all your service industries. And also that families weren't taking vacations in August anymore because everybody was back in school. So they actually tied it to dollars, to money, to tax income, to revenue for our state.
Shelley Garzone, News 19, WLTX.
Well, several school districts in Lexington, Kershaw, Fairfield, Sumter, Saluda, and Lee counties are set to start school later this week.